All right, everybody, welcome to the TubeBuddy support creator community stream. Hello. Thanks for being here and thanks for watching the video if you're not here live. This is for you and for everyone around, all creators of all experiences, talking, discussing, learning, growing together. Stanley, Kathleen, hello again.
What's up, man?
Oh, how you doing? Is
Having
it a good
great
Thursday?
Friday.
Or
It's Friday for him.
Yeah.
But to be fair, just about all days are a Friday to me.
How? What is your what?
That's just like what I try to wake up with, that mentality. Like, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. We're going to make this the best dang Friday we can make it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I'm envious also of your Friday today. Thursdays are when I start to fall off, and so it goes.
Gotta get on that Stanley mentality.
Well, I can espouse this all day long right now, but man, on like Sundays and Mondays, I am a dud.
A dud indeed. I know the feel. Well, today I wanted to talk about a challenge. One, there's so many challenges. Nobody said that content creation was easy, and especially building on YouTube. And that comes with a ton of challenges. And I think one of the, we can talk about all those challenges, but I think one of the top challenges that, I've been facing, I know so many others face, I know, you face, we face, we will continue to face, is getting discovered and getting discovered on YouTube. But not just on YouTube, but just, how people are finding you. And that's hard because it's more than just, I think it's more than just, uploading videos. There's so much more work behind the scenes going on to reach out to the right people. So, and I think a lot of people share that, if anything, I'll just wanted to start with sharing a bit more. Like right now, I've made and still kind of make different kinds of content, from music and then streaming and YouTube. And there's, I've had a music channel I'm working on the side with a partner, a business partner. And then I'm also, Kathleen, we're growing a channel, Friendship Unfiltered, and getting and finding the right people and getting discovered is difficult. Obviously, I'm not expecting to be found, and nobody should expect to be found after one video. Just suddenly, I've started YouTube a couple months ago, and I'm not famous yet. Why? There's a lot of stuff to it. But that's one of those challenges. And even with TubeBuddy support, growing this channel, and making sure that we're discoverable for the purpose of learning more about TubeBuddy, but just generally helping creators and supporting them, and not just TubeBuddy, but growth in general. And I think that one of the ways that that's helping, which I'll start with the first tip. But before we kind of talk about all the tips, just to prep the road here, is promoting your video, promoting yourself. And that, I think that is helping overcome that obstacle. The more we've promoted immediately, easily, whether it's 1 or 10 or 100 or more, it upticks. It keeps going with every aspect of promotion. What about you, Stanley? What was your, is that a challenge you faced, or never have you ever experienced that challenge? And would you, how has promoting helped you, or what do you think about that tip?
Yeah, so a little backstory, and I'm not going to go too far on this because I got my hands in a lot of pots and whatnot, and we want to stick on the YouTube conversation here. But so my beginnings with all of this had nothing to do with YouTube. I was on other platforms, and on one platform in particular, I got 10 million views unmonetized. I was not making any money off of that. So I was like, man, I want to transfer this over to some place where I can, get monetized. I want to be able to make a little bit of money off of what I'm doing. I want there to be a little bit more value in it. And, talking about getting discovered, like I was discovered, I was there. And I don't think I was able to get 0.5% of that audience to jump over to YouTube. I could just, I had seen zero returns from that. It's a dead, media is a dead platform as far as everything was concerned. And that's fine. So it was, it was still a learning experience coming up from and starting fresh with YouTube. I'm glad everything happened the way that it did. I'm totally, obviously I wished I would have exploded like day one. Who doesn't? But I've learned a lot about discovery in general and getting out there in front of people. And it's actually stuff that I could take away. And if I was jobless tomorrow, I could take the things that I've learned with this and I could go make money tomorrow. So there's value in discovery is hard for a lot of people. It's probably the biggest thing that we are all worrying about. And it's one of those things you got to learn, but man, when you learn it, when you get that, it is something that you can take it and put it in. Maybe it doesn't work for YouTube all the time, but you can put that into a lot of different aspects of your life, not just talking algorithms, but the things that you would use to get in front of the algorithm. And I hate that word algorithm. It's a misnomer. It's not correct. I hate it, but you're trying to get in front of the search and discovery systems. You can take the knowledge of how you go about doing that and you can apply it to so many things in life. It's like the exact same process.
Yeah, I agree. Not just YouTube. Yeah, it's really the same framework. I feel like in so many big aspirations, especially business. It is a business, a form.
Appreciate that, KMH. Thank you, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you, KMH. Kathleen, what about you? With discoverability,
I guess, I definitely, it's funny because when you were talking about that, Stanley, the idea of like trying to get someone to jump from one platform to the other, I think about that as a viewer, because honestly, that I think about how many times I have, I'm more active, I would say, on Instagram, and I'll, they'll be like, go to my video, which in Instagram, of course, it doesn't make it very easy to jump links at all.
They're so scared. Meta is so scared of people going off platform.
Yeah. And, but there are, plenty of times where I just am like, I won't bother. I'll just stick with the content that's on here. But I think, I think you have to be very intentional with what kind of things you're sharing on other platforms if you're trying to get people enticed enough, because it's a pretty big hill to battle, I think. Again, speaking as someone who is on the other end of that all the time, when I'm when I see posts from people urging to go to whatever link on their profile. But I think that I think it's important to also think about, so since Instagram is so focused on photographs and reels, it's very different, right, from long form. So I think that's what in terms of being intentional with the kind of content you're putting, because you want to give people it's twofold. I think it's one, you want to have content on, and I'm just using Instagram just in this example, but of course this applies to any of the other platforms, but you want to have content that you post that is going to resonate with people on that platform. And then two, that it is also, that it has an element of a reason for people to see the long form version of it. And I think that is a big challenge. But that's definitely, but I think that those are things that when I think as a viewer, what compels me to leave the app, to leave Instagram, to go somewhere else is, it has those two things. Yeah.
I'll add on to that and say, in my opinion, and this is going to be different for different creators, different types of content, different niches and things like that, and your style, what you're trying to accomplish and everything. I don't believe that, talking about discovery, I don't believe that social media is a good means of discovery at all. Like, that is not what I would use social media for. That's not what I would encourage people. And there are means for doing that. But I like 90% disagree with the concept of utilizing social media for growth. The reason being is twofold. For one, if you explode on a social media platform, that's going to be your platform, not YouTube. Like, YouTube's going to be a subsidiary to that platform, whatever it is, because it's so difficult to get people to jump ship to a different platform. For two, YouTube discovery is so much easier. The views are more valuable. You got to look at discovery in terms of it's not all relative. So 10 million views on TikTok is not the same value as 10 million views on YouTube. The 10 million views, and like on YouTube long form, YouTube Shorts 10 million views is nowhere near as valuable as 10 million views on a long form. So, you want to, the discovery potential on YouTube is so much easier, in my opinion, because you can utilize so many different facets. You can utilize search and browse, home feed. You can utilize QR codes if you're going to get active out there and put, posters and stuff like that. Search is huge. The ability to get in front of people who are searching for things, and it's not just on YouTube, but the search that you target also pertains to Yahoo and Google search. To me, that's huge. That blows all the other social media platforms out of the water, because nobody's going on Twitter and searching for the best Texas fishing channel, the best Texas fishing videos. Right. But I can definitely target the things that people who are looking for that sort of thing, I can definitely target that. And I'm, really good at getting in front of those guys who are doing search via Google and YouTube search and everything. So there's just so much more potential for actual discovery on platform on YouTube. Social media, in my opinion, is not as easy, anywhere near as easy to get out in front of this external audience. It is, however, a great way of turning that audience, like people who actually come over from your YouTube channel onto your social media. These are fans who are more invested in you as a person, what you do. They kind of want more information on you, maybe a little more insight behind the scenes kind of stuff. This is a great way to turn that fan from the YouTube channel into a super fan. The super fan is the one that, a fan is somebody who's going to watch your video. A super fan is the one that's jumping over to social media, answering all your questions, sharing out all your content, and buying your t-shirt. So that's your opportunity to engage on a deeper level with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's an interesting point that you make about, really stood out to me. If you explode on another platform, that's your platform. And of course, there's so much context there. But a relatable experience is with live streaming. I had a considerably larger audience and more action from Twitch when I was live streaming versus things on YouTube, and trying to bring anybody from there was impossible. Completely. I think the opposite might work better, since I have seen that in the past, at least, a strategy where people bring their Twitch or grow their Twitch audience from YouTube. They'll go to YouTube over to Twitch, which is pretty interesting. But again, more context, and it depends. But like, you know, on the topic of promoting, like, you know, one of the ideas is, you know, how do you share your videos, and where do you do that? Where do you get people to, you know, where should you promote? And still context. It depends where your audience is. It depends what your content is. And, you know, maybe a social media platform may help, but it's how that content is reaching out to them and directing them and funneling. So there's some strategy.
You know, a quick thought on that. Just one thing. I did a test on this for 1 year. I hit Twitter really, really hard. That was like 2 years ago, something like that, 2020. I forget the year. But anyway, so I did a full 365 days, really, really hard on Twitter. I grew my audience on Twitter to 1,000 followers. I was at 4,000 with the YouTube channel. So my Twitter account was 1/4 the size of my YouTube channel. And there's probably some, you know, there's some Venn diagram where there's, you know, there's some people just Twitter, some just YouTube, and then, you know, big group of them in between. The amount of views I got as a result of Twitter, 0.05%. That's how many views I got in 1 year as a result of Twitter. Made it very, very easy to completely stop social media. That meant absolutely nothing. That was a huge, I'm not gonna say it's a waste, because I met a lot of people. The real value was the engagement and conversations that I had with some really cool people. And that, you know, a lot of value in that. But yeah, the actual like turnaround, the conversion that I was able to get on my channel.
Wow, that's wild. Because it could also lead you kind of like, oh, look at this girl, look at the amount of, you know, that you have potential. And really, you know, it's been apparently my favorite word, or my favorite phrase recently, is fragmenting your audience. You know, there's so many things that appear that can help you or grow or build a community, keep them together, but really what's actually happening is just making slices in that pizza, in that community pizza. But wow. So what, like, last kind of thing on promoting, like, and just kind of a question to Stanley, I think, you know, I'm curious, like, what did help you, you know, promote? Like, what did help you grow that channel? Was it just the consistency? Was it keyword research and slow growth? Like, was there something that worked for you and your audience and your particular category?
It's gonna be the hand in a lot of pots. I was shotgunning just things all over the place. I did really good with online forums. Because I do outdoors stuff, it typically lends itself to like an older demographic. So newer forms of social media and stuff are not exactly the best place for me to target for these guys. That having been said, I tried, you know, like I looked at some of those weird platforms, like, you know, everybody was freaking out about the election and everything. And I am aware of my audience. I might not always agree with them in a lot of cases, but I'm aware of my audience. And, you know, it took a stab at Parler. That lasted about 6 hours. Like that was a travesty. So,
Wow.
So I mean, I tried it out there. I'm not gonna say it's a waste of time because I didn't spend much time on it, but like community forums was one of those traditional methods that worked really well for me. Now I couldn't just go on there and start slapping content in there. Nobody wants that. They don't want you to just come in, drop your video, and then expect to get a bunch of likes. I had to spend time and effort, and I had to build relationships. I had to join and be a member of that community in order to be able to do that. I had to talk to people. I had to do the exact same thing. So when I created a post in a community forum, I have to actually go and research the things that I'm going to write the title of that post about. Like I just did all this with my YouTube video. I'm not going to copy that title from YouTube video and make it the title of the post. That just looks like you're phoning it in. So I would go and recraft an entirely new title for that forum post, and I would come up with something engaging to write about. And then, oh, by the way, I've also got this awesome video that you can check out. I put a lot of work and effort, and I did this with multiple forums. And, I became an engaged member of these communities. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort that had to go into that. But I do see a return on those. I see a much larger return in viewership as a result of the forums that I'm a part of than anything I ever saw in all social media combined, like period, bar none.
Interesting. That's so one like key takeaway here is, especially, as you're growing and starting this experimentation, like try some stuff, and, kind of take it and go, or more importantly, learn from that and keep compounding that education, to kind of hone in on that bullseye.
Don't be scared. Here's one that I love that nobody does. Like, this is your business. This is your thing that you do, why are you not out there? And I guarantee nobody who ever listens to this is out there hanging up flyers. Why not? Go make some flyers. Go buy an ad in the newspaper. Why are you not doing this? It's like a financial investment, but people want to put ads on YouTube. Why would I think that's a terrible way of trying to get exposure. Like, your return on that is just it's abysmal. Why not put an ad in the newspaper? Why not be a member find a community to get into and be a part of it, be a valuable addition to that community, and they will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's huge. Finding community and engaging with that community. I kind of chuckled at first, like, why not put a piece of paper on a wall somewhere? But you know what? For example, and then just kind of thinking, if you're, a fitness, maybe your content's fitness, putting something up at gyms or something like that, or maybe you're about coffee and putting stuff at a coffee shop, or other, something relatable. That's interesting, because I still look at stuff. If I see a bulletin board somewhere, I'm curious to poke around and see what's there.
If you do music, go to Guitar Center. They've got those bulletin boards. Coffee shops, hang up your flyer at a coffee shop, because I guarantee people are going to go in there and sit down. They're going to be on their phone or their computer. They're going to be actively engaged with their device, and maybe they want something to watch for a minute. Give them something to watch. Make it interesting. Don't just hang up a white flyer that says, hey, check this out for videos. Come up with some good ad mat. If you got to go to Fiverr and pay someone $5 to do some ad mat for you, it's worth it. Make it an engaging piece. Make that piece of paper worth the amount of money and effort that you're putting into it. But then get that out there in front of people who are going to be doing stuff.
Yeah. Write it down, everybody. Essentially, where does my audience hang out? Where is my community spending time? And that might, guide you to the right places. Clown Baby Dragon. Enjoying the great conversations and interesting insight. Hope y'all are doing well today. Hope the same to you, buddy. Love it. So kind of move this on, so it's a great tip. I think a second really good, helpful tip here, that a lot of us already know. But we can't stress it enough, is using an eye-catching thumbnail. You could put a piece of paper on the bulletin board, but what about that paper is going to catch their eye? Is it going to be some metal, icons on the corners? Is it going to be, a big boat? Is it going to be, silks and, aerial related or circus like, just arts, and what colors and what's standing out? In the same way, thumbnails. I think, thumbnail, now that you got that there and you found your people, how do you do that? Because the tip is that obviously make some good thumbnails, but it's a lot easier said than done. I think right now I can't say my thumbnails are the best, so it's a matter of learning how to make thumbnails. And that means practice, and that means being okay with whatever you make and just do it anyways, and continue improving from there. Or maybe even find a friend or other services out there that will help you do that. Kathleen, would you agree with, thumbnails? Do you think thumbnails is a tip? Do you think that's important, helpful?
As a very design photography oriented person, I'm a little biased, but yes, I think that design is super important. I mean, that's why there are so many psychology books on what colors to use that are going to evoke a certain feeling in us. There are certain images that again kind of call just subconsciously things and ideas to our minds. So I think that it's super important. I think that even before you figure out if you're going to attempt learning graphic design yourself for your thumbnails or hiring someone, even when you're hiring someone, I think going back to what Stanley was saying, you need to figure out your audience. You need to figure out who you're going to be appealing to, because I think that that's really important, that when people don't kind of take that into or factor that in when they're designing something is, and I think it helps a lot to do research on, what are other people in your niche doing, and how is yours different? How is yours going to stand out? What is going to convince people to choose your thumbnail over someone else's in the same kind of genre as your content? And but I think it takes a lot of researching and a lot of poking around and a lot of experimenting, again going back to that. And I think that, again, another reason why a community, we've talked about this before, is important, is that you get feedback from your community and ask hey, what do you think about this? And improve upon it, because everything, no matter whatever of course, we're always striving for perfection. We know that that's not going to happen, that we're just but we aim that way, aim for that. I think you can always make something better, but, I think that still striving for that is important. And I think that, again, practicing and using, that's why the internet's so great, right? We have so many free resources on how to teach you graphic design, how to teach you about those elements that I mentioned before about how to decide which font you're going to, use for your channel. There's so many resources and materials on the internet that can help you with that, but it does take time to learn that stuff and practice and experiment.
Yeah, Stanley, all that, the experimentation, and also taking advantage of the resources that are out there. Stanley, what did you at some point? Do you, same page, or was it different for you, or maybe perhaps, what helped you kind of figure out, that thumbnail, or just to kind of put a certain style, or what's your thought process on thumbnails? So just here, throw something in there, bam, go. What was that like for you?
Thumbnails was a weird experience for me. I have a little bit of a graphic design background myself. So when we first started doing YouTube, I had been studying Nick Nimmin and all those guys for a full year before I ever put out a YouTube video. Full year. I just sat there and listened to them and took notes and studied. I was committed 8 hours a day. I'd be listening live streams, stuff like that. So when I did start, I knew the value of thumbnails. And I was like, okay, this is going to be one of the things that helps me enter into the space, is because I'm watching these other guys and I'm seeing their videos and I'm like, dude, these thumbnails are, I've got this. I'm getting 1 million subscribers in a year, guaranteed, because I'm going to blow these guys' thumbnails out of the water. And that's how I was going to, and I was going to rank and search, and, I had all these dreams and aspirations. So I made these amazing thumbnails. Like, they were works of art. Didn't work at all. It was a complete bust. My first 6 months, my very first video is kind of a different story. My first 2 videos were kind of a different story. The first one in particular. But everything I put out after that for 6 months was such a bust, and I couldn't get it right. And I didn't know what was going wrong. Like I'm doing these, I'm doing it all on my phone, but I am making these just really, like, I'm putting a lot of work and effort into the text. And I'm like, I'm very carefully putting highlights on the text, so it looks like there's light shining on it and there's shadows on it. And I'm doing all these, effects and things, and I'm making it look all cool. And after 6 months, I'm like, dude, I don't understand. And I ended up doing some coaching with a guy, and he's like, you have really amazing thumbnails. But why are you doing it like this? This is not what your audience wants. And I look at it, and I took a look at search with fresh eyes, what all these fishermen were doing. It's again, like I was talking about with the forums, it's this salt of the earth crowd. They don't want the graphic design. They don't want the amazing glitzy thumbnails. They want the stupid GoPro looking photograph of the big fish. And that's what they're going around clicking on. It took me so long to figure that out. Like it was ridiculous. It was funny. But nowadays, like I do A/B tests like that, and it is comical. I will do a picture of just me holding a fish, like that's it, and that just the dumbest most generic photograph that I will put on there, and then I'll do one where I'm doing all the text and I put all the. I still test that to this day, and it is still 300-400% difference in the thumbnails and in their performance.
Wow,
it's comical.
Wow.
And you're talking about that with discovery. I got something I want to say about that just real quick. So anybody who has any questions about the value of thumbnail, Roberto Blake says it is the single most important thing. I disagree with that, but it's a very hard argument to make. Obviously, you want the video to be the most important thing. However, the worst thing that can happen with discovery is that you finally get discovered. You finally get that video out there. It's got great retention. It blows up. Like it blows up as far as YouTube is showing it out to everybody. You're getting tens of millions of impressions and nobody's clicking on it because your thumbnail sucks. It's worth putting the time and effort into those thumbnails. It will make a night and day difference. Not even kidding about that. Night and day difference in performance.
Yeah. Huge. I agree. Were you going to say something, Kathleen?
No, I was just going to say it's just another reason that it's important to kind of know your community, like another.
Yeah. It's massive that, everything comes down to like, know who you're making stuff for. When you know who you're making it for, know them well enough, know what they're doing after work, know what they're doing during their lunchtime, not, so deeply, but like just know what's happening and know a bit more about them. What are their interests? What is this topic? So
don't go into
like,
social media being like, so what shirt are you wearing today? You might want to draw some lines in there.
What color t-shirt you're wearing today? What are you eating for lunch? But even it depends. Maybe you're making a cooking channel and you're a chef and you got to know what they're eating, so that you can make some recipes and give them something else to make, something else to try. But in the end, still, it's all of that information and what they're watching and what is working and studying that just gives you that knowledge and empowers you to be able to make better decisions on the kind of thumbnails you make. And again, I wanted to kind of add a little bit to that. There's resources online for learning all that, but there's also resources online, especially with other tools where you have templates to start with, especially if you don't know where to start with. And some of those have great elements in it that you can start picking and choosing. You like the background on that, save that background. You like this, piece from there, take those elements, and now you can start putting them together like Legos and whatever you use, or use thumbnail generator on TubeBuddy. You can upload each of those elements, and now you have all your elements there on the thumbnail generator for you to move around and quickly put something together. It's a great way to start. It's a great way to just have something versus nothing, unless nothing is what your audience prefers. like meme videos or, you know,
I've actually tested that before. Like,
oh yeah,
just let YouTube's random thing go, and you'd be surprised. Like, YouTube does not do a bad job. It's actually kind of hard to beat YouTube's selection of screenshots.
Wow, interesting.
But it can be done.
Wow, that is interesting. We'll have to dig into that later. Well, cool. We have one more tip. And there could really be so many, and maybe we'll throw in a bonus tip if we have time. But you know, the other big obvious is optimizing your content. You know, it's one thing so there's so many steps to getting discovered, and that's definitely one of them, is optimizing your content. But that also means, what does optimization mean? It's not just YouTube SEO. It's really how you craft your thumbnail. It's how you dress that up. But with the titles that are maybe in, or the words that are found on that thumbnail. But more specifically, kind of going back to YouTube SEO, is, you know, how is your audience searching for stuff? You know, I guess really the one big tip is know your audience and learn about your audience. One thing that you said, Kathleen, was, you know, getting feedback from them. Like, that's huge. That's underline, emphasis, bold, quotes, asterisks, brackets, parentheses, angle brackets. It's, you know, reach out, find out. Getting that feedback is helpful and empowering. And that gives you information too of what words are being used. But not just that, you can find it through data and looking at videos that are already there. I think that one of the things that was helping, you know, with some of the challenges I was running into, that is, you know, that, like, how do you optimize, but more importantly, how do you find the ways that your audience is searching for it? Especially like recently, the last video, which is access denied, which is about sign-in issues, and there's so many different ways of putting in TubeBuddy access denied, or sign-in problem, or authentication issue, or fix it now, or, you know, so many different things. So which one should you pick? Which one should you use? How do you organize all that data in order to put something together that makes it optimized? How long would you say it took you, Stanley, to kind of figure that out for your audience? Like what, more importantly, how long, but like, what did it take for you to kind of figure out, like, this is what is actually, you know, what I would consider optimized versus what we think is optimized?
That was one of those things that like I said, I'd spent a long time studying this stuff before I even started filming. And so I hit the ground running when I started filming, and optimization was one of those ones that I was good at right out of the gate. A lot of the success that I had came from, like, my first couple of videos. I got real lucky with that. And I optimized them well. And that played a huge part in what I was doing. Now, what I did have issues with later on, I tried to branch out, and I tried to create some virality out of videos that should have been more search based, because I was trying to push the envelope. I was trying to get outside of the area that I was in.
Sorry, could you elaborate on that a little more? Like when you say you were making videos to prompt virality versus search, like, can you?
Yeah.
Clarify
so
that?
You have kind of two different directions you can go with the video. You can go, you know, optimize for SEO, or you can go viral. You can take the viral approach. They are two different paths, and that doesn't mean that you can't optimize a viral video. You should. You're probably going to take a different approach if you do. with the video. It's like you're either swinging for the fences or you're going for the low hanging fruit. So what I was doing was, when I first started, the area down here, the island that I fish at, is a vacation hub. Like, there's a lot of tourists that come down to this area. So I was thinking, when I first started, I'm going to do a fishing channel. Why not target the tourists that are coming in town? And they are going to be searching for stuff. They don't know anything about this place. I do. Let me be their resource. Let me be the authority on their, what they can do down here. And that worked really well. Mm-hmm. Targeting I make decent videos. I do good thumbnails eventually. And I knew enough, I was enough of an authority on the subject of this area that I could make these videos that were performing very well, especially against my competition. But I'm also targeting things that fishing people were not targeting, these vacation hotspot, terms. And that worked really well, really, really well for me. After like 2 years, I wanted to branch out. I wanted to get more traffic. I wanted to get virality. So with virality, you are going more for, you're not targeting people in search. You're not going to go viral with a how-to video. You're not going to go viral with a video where it's like, let me show you all these things that you can do on this island that I'm at. Your viral approach is going to be more along the lines of like, I'm stranded on an island for 3 days. I eat what I catch. You know what I mean? It's like this insane thing that it can be the exact same video, but your approach is going to be completely different on how you do it. So what I was doing was, rather than making the video that's like, let me go strand myself on a beach for 3 days and let's see what I can find to eat. It was, let me make the exact same video about Padre Island that I've been making. Let's go fishing on Padre Island. But then I'm going to, instead of targeting search terms like Padre Island and the fish that I'm catching and how to catch fish and Texas, all those search terms, my target was more like, let's create this fantastical title, this thing that's going to be just, with this thumbnail that's just, oh my God, what is going on here? I have to find out. But that's not the video that I was presenting. I tried to make it that way, but it just really wasn't. It's like, I'm just out at the beach fishing. I wasn't able to make it that viral kind of video.
Okay.
So that's where I started having my problems, was kind of figuring that out. And I'm still like, I've got a better grasp of it today. And I blend it better to where I will still try a viral approach. I try to keep my retention just as physically high as I can. And I mean, the first minute and a half or 2 minutes on most of my videos is just a frame by frame mess. Especially doing it on the phone. I've got so much crammed into the first minute and a half of the video to try to keep people on, showing them, oh, this is the amazing thing that I did in the last video, and it's going to have such an insane impact. And I've got the words popping on the screen and there's music. Like, I'm just trying really, I might be overdoing it at times. We'll find out. I watched the analytics on that really close, but I still try to make it where there's an educational kind of value to the video that I'm making. It's going to be Padre Island, it's going to be Port Aransas, it's going to be the certain species of fish or the time of year or whatever the case may be, but I'm going to show you a much more fantastic presentation of that exact same thing that I used to do. So at first, targeting SEO was not that hard, but then when I tried to get creative with it, that's when I had a little bit of a learning curve.
Getting creative with it, I think that's, there could be this kind of sense like that there's a hard-coded way to optimize exactly what you're doing, when it's almost just as creative as your creative abilities are. Or it's just as much of a canvas as the video is. And that means it's how you're dressing that neat little package. It's the way you're tying that bow to make that, it's the same bow, but that difference, that's these slight differences, and just ways you can play around with how optimizing it is huge, I think. And it's not just making sure to, for example, if I were just to throw in keywords, just throwing keywords willy-nilly, but even dressing some of that. And more importantly, where to address that, especially when it's showing up in different areas, whether if it's through browse or suggested or YouTube search. What elements are displayed and how do those elements complement each other, including the thumbnail. But yeah, it's content optimizing. If you haven't already, keyword research or keyword explorer can help with gathering keywords, not to tell you these are the keywords to do, but it helps see. It's kind of like going shopping for bows or the wrapping paper and seeing, kind of trying on some of those things, and then take all that and put it together in a nice, neat little, fun little package. And see
that keyword research is critical. Like that's something that what so many people do, and I've done this before, so I understand. Especially if you've made, if you're 200 videos in, you've made a lot of videos, and you kind of have an idea of where, like your rankings are going to be for certain keywords or what people are searching for. I get it, but actually doing it instead of, I'm not going to do keyword research on the term Padre Island or Padre Island fishing. I know what the weighted and unweighted score for that term is. I've done it 498 times. I'm about to do my 500th video. So I'm well versed on that one. But that doesn't mean that there's not value in spending time doing the keyword research and figuring out the other terms. There's a ton of underserved terms out there. Actually spending time, rather than just plugging a word in, plugging a phrase in, being like, hey, there's a score, and then immediately copy and pasting that to the tags. Mm-hmm. Spend your time doing your research and finding those underserved, wonderful hidden gem terms that are out there. They are there. Absolutely guaranteed they are there. And there's a new one tomorrow that you don't even know about. So go find those terms, actually do that, and then focus your video on those terms, and you will see so much more success.
You said something really important there, is there's always, it's very likely that a new phrase you didn't know about is now popping up. People change. Because ultimately our community or the audience are people. And that means it's gonna, the way things are phrased changes.
A new game pops up, or there's a new trend that happens.
Or maybe you like another color now. And, it's
personal taste change.
And even that alone, with the, changing a thumbnail from one color to another. Could work, day one, but day 100, it's the audience is taking on a new side of what their preferences are, or just what is capturing attention. But more importantly, keywords. And I've noticed that's something that, there's, I'll research a keyword once, and this is for everybody. Don't just research that same keyword or that keyword once and then forget about it. Research again later. Check it out later. See what's changed. What's popularity? What kind of new related searches have come up? What kind of video topics that are coming up this time? Or even what kind of common tags are starting to pop up? All that information is so empowering to help optimize. But I think ultimately, these are all really helpful ways of getting discovered. And I'd like to throw in just a bonus tip before we close this out a bit, which is engaging your audience. And I think this really is that underlying, overlapping umbrella tip of all, is knowing your audience. And that means engaging your audience, gathering that feedback. Go find out. If you're not sure, go ask one of them. Whether it's on Discord, Reddit, Twitter, whatever it is, wherever they are, at a gym, at a coffee shop, at a music venue. It's gathering the information so helpful and engaging. And for everyone here and for those watching later, let us know what your challenges are when it comes to getting discovered, or if these are challenges you've overcome, how. And that way we can, because there's no one true way. It's just as much of a melting pot, every solution to these problems. There's so many different ways of doing things, and it's creative, especially when it comes to optimizing. Creative ways to optimize, creative ways to create thumbnails, creative ways to engage your audience, creative ways to promote, and experimentation, trying all that stuff out, seeing what works, take it and run. And if you've tried something completely wild out of nowhere and it seems to work, let us know. I want to know. I'm curious about what works for you, and to celebrate with you. But any last words from y'all? I think these are really good. I took away a lot from that. Huge amount.
I don't know. The one thing that comes to mind with what we're talking about getting discovered that we haven't really mentioned yet is, I think that, and it still has to do with your audience, is trying to figure out what makes you, why should people watch your channel? Figure out what about you or your interests, your hobbies, your knowledge, your skills. What is it that you can offer, your community that's different than the other channels in your niche, And I think that because if you're doing something different, that's fun, that's engaging, that's how you're going to get discovered, because people are going to be sharing your stuff and like, oh, did you see this? I've never seen anyone do this before, or, oh my gosh, I learned so much from this, offer them something new, something different, something fresh that's within what they're interested in. And I think that takes, just like the keyword, just like SEO research. I think that is something that you have to really spend time thinking about, instead of just creating whatever, like you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
My parting words on this is all the things that we talked about are very important. Sharing your content out there, getting it out there, finding out how to get in front of your audience, figure out who your audience is and get in front of them. Make sure that you are doing the best thumbnails that you can. And best doesn't have to be super graphic, like this complete work of art. Make a good thumbnail that is compelling. It just needs to be compelling. Practice that, work on that. And then finally, of course, optimization. All of these things are going to help you. But the most important thing, and anybody watching this, you need to kind of like take a deep breath, step outside of yourself for just a moment, be realistic. Your content could be better. Like, there is not a single person on YouTube that you could look at him and say, that's perfect. You do not need to ever improve anything ever again. There's not a single person out there. So we're all on the same page here. We all need to improve what we do. The number one thing that you can focus on when you're trying to get discovered is your content. Make your content, just always, every single video, you need to be making that video better than the last one. It doesn't have to be perfect. It never will. But you always need to be improving the content that you do. And then while you're at it, improve your SEO, improve your thumbnails, improve your understanding of your audience and how to make something special for them. Do that every single video, and I guarantee you will see results. Absolutely guarantee it.
100%. 100%. As I mentioned, nobody said content creation was easy. Nobody said making stuff you love easy. But step by step, little by little, and always improving every single time, you'll get there. And of course, along the way, because it is a lot, don't forget to take your breaks, drink your water, and keep on creating. Thanks everybody for being here, watching us. Thank you for those that are watching this video later on. You're also in our thoughts. Thank you, Stanley, Kathleen. Appreciate it. Until next time, everybody. Catch you later. Bye.
Good day, guys.
Bye.